I want to talk about what the Republican Party needs to do if they want to win. So let's go back to 2020 for a second. In the 2020 presidential election, there were 258 million voting age adults that resided in the United States. That means 258 million Americans who were over the age of 18 in the United States. Now, some of those people may not be eligible to vote for various reasons. Maybe there's some felons in that group. Maybe there are some legal residents. However, 250 million voters eligible. In 2020, only 154 million of them voted. That means that there's a population of 100 million people who can still be convinced to vote for us. There's a population of, it doesn't even have to be the entire 100 million. There's a huge opportunity for Republicans to reach out and ramp up what the Democrats always call get out the vote efforts and initiatives to go and recruit voters by convincing them that our policies will best serve their life. And Republicans act like this just doesn't exist. Republicans act like we already have this finite group of voters, and this percentage of them are dedicated to Democrats, this percentage are dedicated to Republicans, and we're just fighting for this middle ground of independence. But what about these other people? What about these other people who don't vote at all? Republicans have just written them off, and I find this to be the most asinine strategy that I have ever heard at all. Republicans are not going to win if we just sit back and criticize Biden's record, because the Republican name has been vilified by Democrats in pop culture, in Hollywood, in politics, by politicians, by late night hosts, by mainstream media for decades now. And that vilification has worked because Republicans have sat back and be like, well, people aren't going to believe that because you can look at the facts. You can look at the logic. What they're saying is a lie. People don't do that. People don't sit back and look at the facts and look at the logic. They just listen to their chosen media outlet or their social media or their late night talk show or Hollywood celebrities or whatever it might be, and they just accept it. And Republicans haven't competed with that narrative. And so what's happened is even people who are dissatisfied with how Joe Biden has run our country into the ground in the last 2 years don't want to vote Republican because they don't want to be associated with this label of being a mega extremist or being a bigot or being hateful or being a transphobe or a homophobe or a xenophobe or whatever else it is. And so let me tell you what Republicans need to do here. What Republicans need to do. This is both on an individual level, candidates and politicians, as well as Republican apparatuses. So I'm talking about Congress, I'm talking about super PACs, I'm talking about the RNC, I'm talking about every single aspect of the Republican Party from the lowest local level to the highest federal level. Republicans have to redefine what it means to be a Republican. And in order to redefine what it means to be a Republican, we have to get our own house in order. We have to understand what it means to be conservative. Because let me ask you a question. Sitting here right now, today, can you define what it means to be a conservative? What is our underlying philosophy? What does that mean? Like, what is conservatism based on? What's the foundational philosophy of conservatism? Now, a lot of you might not be able to answer that question. And the reason why is because the Republican establishment doesn't know the answer either. The Republican establishment has failed for decades, generations, to actually understand what it means to be a conservative.